Hello everyone. In today's video, I will be discussing about the nuclear hormone receptor, or you can say nuclear receptor. It is yet another type of physiological receptor. Before this, I have already covered the other physiological receptors like tyrosine kinase, the JAK-STAT pathway, the ligand-mediated pathway, and then the GPCRs. The link of these videos you can find in the description box. So coming to today's topic, it is nuclear hormone receptor. And since this type of receptors are present in the cytoplasm or inside the cell, that's why it is also named as intracellular receptor or cytoplasmic receptor. Before this, whatever other physiological receptors are there, like JAK-STAT and then tyrosine kinase and then ligand mediated, these type of receptors are usually present in the plasma membrane, but here it is present in the cytoplasm. So because it is present in cytoplasm, it is known as, what I said is, intracellular and cytoplasmic receptor. So see, this type of receptor, it's a super family. It's a super family, and in that there are 48 different kind of receptors. 48 different kind of receptors, and these nuclear type of receptors, they regulate those genes which produces physiological functions, important physiological functions like reproduction, development and metabolism. So based on the receptors, they are divided into different families, and there are two major families. That is the first family, in which there are the ligands like androgens, estrogens, glucocorticoid, thyroid hormone and vitamin D. The name of the receptor given for these ligands are same as their name, only receptor word is added. That means for estrogen, estrogenic receptors are there, glucocorticoid receptors are there. Whereas for other family, we have a ligand like fatty acid, bile acid, lipid metabolites and lipid. There are different receptors like FXR and LXR. FXR is the farnesoid receptor, farnesoid X receptor, and LXR is liver X receptor. So this F1 type, mostly the glucocorticoid type of receptor, they are present inside the cell, that is cytoplasm, and a ligand comes and binds to that receptor which is present in the cell. Whereas for other family, the receptor is present in the nucleus, and then the ligand has to come all the way from outside to inside the nucleus and then binds to the receptor. So this is the major difference. So there are two types, in which first type in which the receptor is present in the cytoplasm, another type is there where the receptor is present in the nucleus. Now I will explain the whole mechanism, whole pathway by the help of this figure and the pathway. Before I start explaining the pathway and then figure, I would like to explain the structure of nuclear receptor. Now see, if you will refer books, you will find the difference in the structure, the pattern or the drawing is different from book to book. And if you will see the three-dimensional structure, it is far apart from what is given in the books. So it depends upon the author how he tries to explain in his book. Here I have made my own version of the receptors. The figure may change, the figure may look different, but the basic concept is same. You will find that different book mention a different number of domains. Some books say 4 or 5. Usually it's 4 or 5. What I have referred is Goodman and Gilman. Now as per that, the receptor has 4 domains. First, second, third and fourth. 4 domain, and it can be divided into 2 halves. This is the first half and this is the second half. In the first half, which is nearer to the amino terminal, there are two domains, first and second domain. So near to the amino terminal, the first domain is AF1, that is activation function 1 domain or activation region domain. Now this helps in transcription. This AF1 helps in transcription. Near to that, another domain is there, and the name of that is DNA binding domain. DBD, DNA binding domain. Now in DNA binding domain there are two zinc fingers, 1 and 2, two zinc fingers. Now these zinc fingers are nothing but amino acids attached with the zinc, and these zinc helps in the binding of the receptor with that of the gene of the DNA. So this is DNA binding domain. Now next to that, or at the another half, there is another domain which is called hinge, and in that hinge part there is a domain called ligand binding domain. Now some of the book says that there is a separate hinge domain, but as per Goodman, there is a hinge, in that there is a domain called ligand binding domain, and in that there are 12 helices. 12 helices. One line shows 1 helices, so 12 helices are there. And then after that there is AF2 region or domain, which is activation function 2 domain. In that there are two sites, one for co-repressor and one for co-activator. So this is for co-repressor and this is for co-activator. Now for the activation of this receptor, presence of co-activator is necessary, and for suppression the presence of co-repressor is necessary. So this is the whole structure of the nuclear receptor. Now coming to the main part. So here is the pathway and here is the figure. Now what happens is, we have a ligand. Here I have taken glucocorticoid as an example from this family. Okay, this family. So what happens is, glucocorticoid, it is lipid soluble in nature, and being lipid soluble, it can cross the plasma membrane. So it crosses plasma membrane easily, and so lipid soluble ligand crosses plasma membrane. Crossed here, this is the first step. Okay. Now what happens is, then there is inside the cytoplasm there is a receptor. There is a receptor, and these receptors are in inactivated state, which is there in the cytoplasm. Usually when the ligand is not in bound form, these are inactivated state. And an inactivated state, there is a linkage of HSP90, which means that is heat shock protein 19, and then there is co-repressor present when there is no ligand. Now ligand comes and bind with the receptor. Here it will come and bind here. Okay, here it will bind. So ligand comes and binds with the inactivated form of the receptor. Now what happens is, there is a release of heat shock protein 90. This heat shock protein is released, and then co-repressor is also released after binding of the ligand. Now it becomes activated. HSP90, it stabilizes the receptor. So when ligand binds, there is release of HSP and then co-repressor, and then ligand is receptor is activated. Now after that, what happens is, there is a conformational change or structural change, and that structural change happens due to the 12th helix. 12th helix. Important, that is important. So the conformational change will occur, and after that there is homodimerization, or better to say, there is dimerization occurs. Now homodimerization, in this case for glucocorticoid, there is homodimerization. There are other examples also where there is heterodimerization occurs. Now what do you mean by homodimerization? When the same type of monomer comes together, then that is homodimer. When other type of monomer comes together, they are known as heterodimer. So here in this case, two such a receptor will come and join with each other, forming a homodimer. So this particular complex is homodimer. Now this is over. Now this homodimer translocates inside the nucleus. It translocates inside the nucleus. Now when it goes to the nucleus, this is also over. It binds to the DNA sequence. It will bind to the DNA sequence by the help of what? This zinc finger. It will go and bind to the specific gene. They are known as the hormone. They are known as the GRE, or the glucocorticoid response element, or in general hormone response element. So it will bind there. The whole function, after binding also, there is recruitment of co-activator. Co-activator will be recruited here, and then it will bind over here in AF2. And this together will help to give the function, to cause the formation of mRNA. So co-activator is attached. If co-repression attaches, then suppression of the activity occurs. Otherwise, co-activator when attaches, the function is increased. And then it transactivate or transrepress the gene, and then there is formation of specific mRNA, and then that moves to the ribosome, and then ribosome will produce the specific protein. In this way, the specific protein is formed, and then action is given. What is the therapeutic significance of this? The therapeutic significance is that if you give this type of a drug which acts on the nuclear receptor, then the effect will not be given immediately, because it takes some time to form the newer protein, and the lag period of half an hour or 1 hour is there. For example, if you give glucocorticoid in asthma, then there won't be the immediate effect. The second significance is that even if you withdraw the drug, the action will not be terminated immediately, because there would be some time taken for the metabolism or inactivation of the protein or enzyme which is already synthesized by the action of this type of ligand. So this is all about the nuclear receptor, the hormone receptor and transcription factor, or intracellular receptor, or cytoplasmic cytosolic receptor. Thank you so much.